Heather, this is absolutely driving us directly towards socialism, maybe even communism. $1.9 trillion. We have a $28 trillion deficit as it is, and it's expanding faster than it ever has. President Obama doubled the deficit from 10 trillion to 20 trillion. Trump took over and added 8 trillion onto it. What Biden is about to do, in addition to all the extra spending that we already have in place, Biden is going to add another probably $25 trillion to the deficit in the first four, maybe if he gets reelected 8 years. We're headed towards absolute insolvency. Now, remember who owns most of our debt. China owns most of our debt. They hold our debt. If interest rates go up, we're absolutely screwed. Right now, we're going to service that debt to the tune of $1 trillion. These numbers sound massive, and they are. If interest rates go up, it could be $2 trillion just to pay the interest on the debt, not actually pay down the debt. When you add trillions of dollars into the economy, you drive prices up. If you haven't noticed, Andrew and Heather, prices at the pump are already skyrocketing. They're already up 40, 50 cents a gallon. Guess what? That'll continue. It'll continue to speed up as people get more money into their hands and they spend it. Meat prices are soaring. Food prices are soaring. We're headed for a wall. We're in an airplane and we're on a 737 heading for a mountain, and we're about to crash into it when inflation hits, when prices go through the roof. But guess what? When they stop handing out $1,400 checks, the average family is going to have one hell of a time trying to make ends meet.
Yeah, Eric, you mentioned the $28 trillion debt, and a lot of this so-called relief money isn't accessible to schools. They'll have to wait at least a year for 90% of Biden's COVID cash. That's according to estimates from the nonpartisan Congressional Budget Office. This isn't really a relief bill, is it?
No, it is a relief bill, Andrew, but it's $1,400 goes into average families' pockets. If you took $1.9 trillion and divided by every man, woman, and child in America, it would be somewhere around $6,000 instead of $1,400. There's so much fat that's in this law. It's not even a bill anymore. It's a law. It's coming. It's indescribable how so many of the things that the Democrats filled into that aren't actually going to make it to the schools and to the average family. I have another issue that you guys may or may not be bringing up later in the show. We have a crisis at the border right now, and it plays into this way. We have a crisis by one account, by an official government account. We're 727% over capacity right now at some of the border crossings. 727% over capacity. That means all these people are coming in. They're filling our stations that are holding people. They're about to make their way into our communities. And guess what? They're not being tested. We don't know what they're carrying coming across the border. We're actually opening ourselves up at our southern border to yet another round, another spike in COVID. And then what? We're going to add 4, 5, 8, 10 more trillion dollars to try and pay for that.
Yeah.
I don't know who's calling the shots in the Biden administration right now in D.C., but whoever's doing it, they got to move them out and get some sensible, common sense people in there.
Yeah, and only 1%, I think, of this massive 1.9, well, let's just say $2 trillion goes to vaccine distribution specifically. You talked about, who is behind all of this. Looking at what happened with this particular bill, now law, is this just a sign of things to come? Are we going to be held hostage by this liberal House, Senate, and presidency moving forward?
Great point, Heather, because you know what they're talking about. Literally, Biden signed this into law middle of this week, and they're already starting to talk about a $4 trillion infrastructure bill that they'll turn into law. $4 trillion. Now, that basically is, you don't need $4 trillion to fill potholes. $4 trillion is probably maybe a quarter of that will go to, fixing bridges and fixing roadways. But a lot of that is going to go to the green agenda. It's going to be filled with the climate stuff. It's going to be AOC, packed with AOC's initiatives. That's another $4 trillion. I mean, you're talking $6 trillion in the first 50, 75 days of a presidency. I can't imagine what 4 years is going to look like. We are speeding towards a broke communist, at least socialist state like Venezuela or Cuba.
Yeah, great points. You know, it's Saturday night, so we always like to have a little bit of fun on Saturday night. March Madness coming up here this week. You have a Final Four. Any predictions here coming up?
Wow. Well, it's not due because they're already out because of COVID. I mean,
Yeah, because of COVID.
You know, they're not even going to win that tournament. They may come through. You know, I honestly, I've been focusing on football and baseball coming up and basketball, but I'm a huge March Madness fan, and I don't have one for you. I apologize.
That's okay. You've got the quarterback that you're
Clemson.
with there. So.
I'm here in South Carolina. University of South Carolina, Clemson. Let's do that.
Oh, okay. Yeah, my sister went to
Smart
USC,
answer.
so that's okay, as long as you're pulling for South Carolina.
Yeah, absolutely.